Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm BarkerPants20 and today I have the truth. I have proof about Australian loot boxes. And I'm gonna show you in 3. And Australian loot boxes are rated M15, so it will at least be classified M. So I know so here is the proof of. And it says Roblox has introduced restrictions on paid random items like loot boxes, primarily due to regional regulations, particularly in Australia. These restrictions aim to protect users, especially children, from the potentially harmful aspects of a random reward mechanics, specifically, Roblox implemented these changes to comply with Australian regulations that ban loot boxes for users under 15. And that is the truth about, and that is what that has to be, but let's go to Australian loot boxes. Our loot box is illegal in Australia. Any game with randomized loot box system offered for a purchase with real money will be given an M mature rating that at every least, with retailers being discouraged from selling such games to anyone under the age of 15. So if you're if you guys live in Australia and are age 15 and above, then Roblox could lift restrictions for you, but we'll see about that. But probably not, but let's go to Australia. Wait, hold on. I gotta... Where is it? Alright, there we go. So you take a look at the classifications, and this M, that is the minimum rating for loot boxes. And now for the... Let's go back and... And let's go for Australia. Update on paid random item restrictions. And so... And this is the forum of that. And so I'm thinking of... So our paid random items restricted will become false for Australian users over the age of 15, but probably not, but we'll see about that. I have something else in mind, like Fortnite has loot boxes, so it's classified oh, didn't know that, okay. So I'm 18 years old, so they could lift restrictions for me and everyone over the age of 15, but we'll see about that. Roblox, I really hope you do lift paid random item restrictions for all Aussie users over the age of 15. And you can leave paid random items restricted for all Aussie users under the age of 15. I really hope you do lift it for all Aussies over the age of 15. And that is about it. And so, one more thing. Australian loot boxes. Yeah, so... And one more thing I need to show you is that the link between video game loot boxes and gambling from ABC iView.
Loot boxes are essentially a digital box of randomized rewards, and they're purchasable quite often for real-world money. So the critical thing is that people will pay out a small amount of real-world money, usually about $2.50 or so for a loot box, and they don't know what they're going to get out of that loot box. It might be something they really want, it might be something that will help them in future games, or it might be something that's not very useful at all, what gamers refer to as vendor trash. But what's really concerning about these things is how closely they approximate conventional forms of gambling. When you think about getting a randomized reward, you don't know what you're going to get out of this box, you're paying real world money in, and that thing might be something you want a lot or something you don't want at all, then you're starting to look at something that sounds an awful lot like conventional gambling, and that's a problem for us.
Is this something that occurs in a lot of games? Is this something that is actually targeted at young people, at kids?
Certainly it occurs in an increasing number of games. So until about 2016 or 2017, there weren't that many loot boxes in games. But over the period from 2016 to 2017, they essentially doubled in that 2-year period. And now they're in something like 30% of computer games that are on your PC, or somewhere up to 50-60% of games that are on your mobile phone or tablet. So they're really quite common, and yes, young people are coming across them quite a lot. And what we do know that's very concerning is that in a recent study that's been done over a year-long period, we know that people who engage with these loot boxes and buy them for real-world money migrate into conventional gambling at higher rates than people who don't.
Is it obvious when you're looking at the front cover of a game, or does it look pretty innocuous? What can you look out for to ensure that young people in your family aren't engaging or aren't becoming vulnerable to something like this?
Yeah, this is one of the really difficult points. The good news is that Australia now has new regulations which do require that loot boxes are disclosed to gamers, and automatically any game with a paid loot box in it will be M15 plus as of the beginning of this year. So that is good news. You're looking for a warning label that essentially says includes paid random items at the bottom of those boxes.
So yes, Roblox does have paid random items restricted, so as you can... Alright, let's hear it again on what he says. Wait, hold on. Wait, I can't...
Loot boxes are essentially
something that...
Let's hear what he says.
Or to ensure that young people in your family aren't engaging or aren't becoming vulnerable to something like this.
Yeah, this is one of the really difficult points. The good news is that Australia now has new regulations which do require that loot boxes are disclosed to gamers, and automatically any game with a paid loot box in it will be M15 plus as of the beginning of this year. So that is good news. You're looking for a warning label that essentially says includes paid random items at the bottom of those boxes. That said, it hasn't been universal. Obviously a lot of games are delivered via digital mechanisms, and so it can be the case that these things look very different in games, and they can be very different in terms of their presentation. But anytime you're looking at something that's randomized, that's kind of what you're looking for.
On ABC Radio.
Yes, so Roblox can lift paid random item restrictions for all Aussie users over the age of 15, but Roblox, I really hope you do lift paid random item restrictions for all Aussie users over the age of 15. And that is about it. And I have to go now. Goodbye, everyone. I will see you all in the next video.